Alright, so in this little short video, we're just going to learn about schemes. So schemes are just ways to make maybe our graphs look a little bit better. You may have seen me using commands to make some graphs, and you might have noticed my graphs look a little bit different than you. Well, we can't scatter yet, so let's bring up our auto data set. So we'll just say sysuse auto, and let's do a scatter plot. Our y variable comes first. Let's do price, and then let's do miles per gallon. Okay. All right. So we can see this come up. So this is our scatter plot. You may notice it might look a little bit different than yours. For one thing, I've got these circles indicating my coordinates here, and you would have had maybe some blue dots, right? And also notice that this is, for the most part, in black and white. If I would have done some other things, we might see some colors in here. But this is a scheme called Plot Plane Blind, and it's mainly used for, its main intent is for people with color blindness, but it's actually, because of that, is really good to print in black and white. So if you're going to be doing something where someone might be printing your work, it might be a good idea to make sure that what you're printing is going to look good, right? So I don't think that our old scheme would have looked so good. So let's compare real quick. So our old scheme is called S2 color, and we can change schemes by saying set scheme and then the name of the scheme. So we're S2 color. Okay, so let's do the same command now, and see, there we go. I just don't think this looks as good. We've got this background. If we were to put this on some paper, this background wouldn't blend into that paper very well. It's going to have this other color, and that's just not very attractive. We've got these blue dots. I don't think they look as good as the circles, and not only that, but it might be a little harder to see how many things we have kind of hidden behind each other. The solid colors, they're bleeding together. It's just not as pleasing for the eyes, right? So we might want to do something else. So what we can do is set our own scheme. You can actually make your own scheme, but that's kind of hard, and that's a little outside the scope of the class, right? The one I usually use is one you actually have to download, but we actually have a set of schemes that would work for us that we don't have to download. Okay, so you might want to try playing around with some of these. Okay. All right, so let's try to do this again, but let's set a scheme to something that may look a little bit more fun. Okay. Now this time, let's do it a different way. Let's say we don't want to permanently change our scheme. We just want to do it for this one graph. Okay, so we can just go over here and we can say scheme, let's say economist. Okay. All right, so this is going to look like something like this. Okay, and this one's even more a little bit blurry, kind of coming together, and we got a lot of stuff. It's a little hard to see, but overall, even with the background color not blending in, maybe it might work for some sort of a glossy magazine or something like that. So maybe we would have a reason to use that for this one, but not for something that maybe is in Microsoft Word or something like that. This might not look as good for that, but it does look kind of fancy. Okay. All right, so what if we find a scheme that we want to be our new default? Okay, so if we wanted to do that, what we could do is we could say set scheme, and we could say, well, let's do S1 color, and I want this to be my new default, so I'm going to say permanently. Okay, and like I just put permin, you can shorten this just like you can in a whole bunch of other commands in Stata. So let's do the same thing now, and let's see what this kind of looks like. Okay, I don't really like that too much, but it does seem a little neater. We don't have a lot of ticks or anything. All the backgrounds is white, especially even here on the x-axis and y-axis tick area and title area. It's all the same color. We do have this box that goes around. I'm not a huge fan of that, but maybe some of you are. and our color here has turned to green. And of course, we can change all sorts of things like that with options. So we don't have to just only do things with the screen. So like the last time I showed you that we can go over to our menu here, and we can actually make some plots. So we could create a plot. So this is just like what we did last time, where y variable is price, our x variable is miles per gallon. We can change our properties for our marker, right? So we might want to choose a specific marker. So let's say a diamond. Let's say a color. So we can choose our color. So we don't have to just stick with what the scheme says. So just like normal, we could make our own. So if we have something that we like basically, then we could just alter it to suit our needs. And as you can see, when we use that GUI, it gives us the code that we could have done in order to produce that exact same thing. Okay, so M color means our color, M symbol means our symbol that we're using. So we could play around with this a good bit, and maybe we could stick this in a do file or something like that, or easily just refer to it, right? So we don't have to go through that menu every time. So that's the basics of schemes. So I will like you to use some schemes in your midterm/homework assignment. So kind of get used to that. Those are really all the ways that you'll really need to. If you do find some schemes that you like, then I recommend that aren't in the pre-downloaded list. Okay, so you can find this list. I'll try to post it online, but you can just Google search for Stata schemes, and these will come up. But if you find some that are custom and you want to install them, and you're not really sure how, then let me know, and we can chat about that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to shoot me a message. You come to office hours. We may set up another group meeting such that we can go over some more of these types of things and make sure we get you on your way. So again, make sure you're keeping up with the assignment, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.